Properties of angles, lesson 22 notes. More on transversals. Okay, so you already have everything up in this corner written down. So the next thing I'd like you to write down is this, what's written over here. Okay, never adjacent. We'll get to that in a moment. Go ahead, pause your video, get that written down. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about two parallel lines cut by a transversal. When you have parallel lines cut by a transversal, then special angles are formed. The 5 special angles that are formed are alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, same side interior angles, and same side exterior angles. And then the last type will be corresponding angles. Now, before we get too specific, what you need to know is these angles are never adjacent. They are never adjacent. That means they are never side by side. So when I say alternate interior, we're not going to talk about angles 3 and 4 because 3 and 4 are both in the interior and they are on alternate sides of the transversal. But because they are adjacent, they are not alternate interior angles. All right. So again, when we talk about these angles, they are never adjacent. They are never side by side. And that is the biggest mistake kids make. So please get that in your head. When we talk about alternate interior, alternate exterior, same side interior, same side exterior, and corresponding angles, they are never adjacent. They are never side by side. Okay, now the first 4 types we're going to learn about, they are self-explanatory. Okay, when I say alternate interior angles, think about that. Alternate means opposite sides of the transversal. So when you think about alternate, one will be on one side of the transversal, the other will be on the other side of the transversal. So let's talk about that first. First of all, those 4 angles are all on one side of the transversal. So 1, 3, 5, and 7 are all on the same side. 1, 3, 5, and 7 are all on the same side. 2, 4, 6, and 8 are on the other side of the transversal. So 2, 4, 6, and 8 are all on the same side of the transversal, but not on the same side as 1, 3, 5, and 7. So 1, 3, 5, and 7 are on one side, 2, 4, 6, and 8 are on the other side. So when we are talking about alternate interior angles, let's look at angle 3. Okay, alternate means it has to be, first of all, on the other side of the transversal. So we're talking about either angle 4 or angle 6. Oh, and we're talking about interior. Remember that what's shaded in there, in that greenish highlighted area, that is the interior. So angle 3 is on the interior, 4 is on the interior, 5 is in the interior, 6 is in the interior. So what other angle is inside that green shaded area, but on the other side of the transversal? Well, 3 is on one side, 4 and 6 are on the other side. But 3 and 4 are adjacent. And remember, these angles are never adjacent. So alternate interior angles are 3 and 6. 3 and 6 are alternate interior angles. Well, if 3 and 6 are alternate interior, then 4 and 5 are opposite sides, not adjacent, and in the interior. So 4 and 5 are alternate interior angles. So again, angle 3 and angle 6 are alternate interior angles. Angle 4 and angle 5. Remember, guys, the name tells you what you're looking at. Alternate is different sides. Interior is between the parallel lines. So 3 and 6 are on opposite sides and in the interior and not adjacent, so they're alternate interior angles. 4 and 5 are on the inside. They're on opposite sides of the transversal, and they're not adjacent, making them alternate interior angles. Well, alternate exterior angles, it's the same idea. Let's look at angle 1. Angle 1 is on the exterior, so the opposite side is 2 and 8, because they are also on the exterior. But 2 is adjacent to angle 1, so they can't be alternate exterior. So the only other angle that is on the other side of the transversal and in the exterior is angle 8. See how they are opposite sides of one another? And they're not side by side. That makes them alternate exterior. The same with 2 and 7. They are on opposite sides of the transversal and in the exterior. So 1 and 8 are alternate exterior angles. 2 and 7 are alternate exterior angles. Pause your video, get all of that written down. Okay, same side interior, same side interior. Well, 3 and 5 are on the same side and in the interior, so that makes them same side interior angles. 4 and 6 are on the same side of the transversal and in the interior, so 4 and 6 are same side interior angles. So again, angles 3 and 5 are on the same side and in the interior. Angles 4 and 6 are on the same side and in the interior. Same side exterior angles. So now we're going to be on the same side, but they're going to be the exterior. So if you look at these angles, they're all on the same side, but what are the two angles that are in the exterior? 1, 3, 5, and 7 are on the same side, but the only two angles that are in the exterior are 1 and 7. So one pair of same side exterior angles is 1 and 7. These four angles are all on the same side of the transversal, and then the two on the exterior are 2 and 8. So 2 and 8 are same side exterior angles. All right, so alternate interior, alternate exterior, same side interior, same side exterior. Guys, if you take a moment and just think of the names, it tells you what they are. Alternate is different sides of the transversal. Interior is between the parallel lines. Exterior is outside of the parallel lines. And then obviously same side means they're on the same side of the transversal. Now, corresponding angles. Before I talk about corresponding, I want you to look at this, okay? Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle XYZ. So angle A corresponds with angle X. Remember doing this? Angle A corresponds with angle X. They are in the same position of the triangle. They're both top left, so they're the same position. B corresponds with angle Y. They are in the same position. Okay? C corresponds with Z. So now when we are talking about corresponding angles formed by two parallel lines cut by transversal, the first thing you need to know is one will be on the interior, one will be on the exterior, and they will be on the same side of the transversal. One interior, one exterior, and on the same side of the transversal. Another way to look at it is they are at the same position. Okay, so if you look at these four angles, and you look at these four angles down here, all right, up here, angle 1 is in the same position as angle 5. That means 1 and 5 are corresponding angles. Angle 2 and angle 6 are in the same position. They are corresponding angles. Angle 2 is an exterior, angle 6 is an interior, and they're on the same side, so that makes them corresponding angles. So, angle 1 corresponds with angle 5, and angle 2 corresponds with angle 6. Let's go to angle 3. So, out of these four angles, angle 3 is the bottom left angle. Angle 3 is the bottom left. So, if I look at these four angles, which one is the bottom left? Bottom of these two, and the left is the 7. So, 3 and 7 are corresponding angles. Angle 4 is the bottom right. Down here, the bottom right is angle 8. So 4 and 8 are corresponding angles. Again, angle 3 and 7 are corresponding angles, and angles 4 and 8 are corresponding angles. Okay, so we learned about alternate interior, alternate exterior, same side interior, same side exterior, corresponding angles. One more thing I want you to show you from this. Remember up in example 2 where we used vertical angles and linear pairs to find the angle measurements? Well, if you look at this, okay, we're going to use a certain method to find the angle measurements, and it's actually very simple. I like to call it the zigzag method. So 1 and 4 are across from one another. 4 and 5 are alternate interior, and 5 and 8 are across from one another. Now, when they're across from one another, that makes them vertical angles. See how it made a zigzag? All of those angles have the same measurement. They fall on that zigzag. So angle 4 is 132 degrees because they are vertical angles. 4 and 5 are alternate interior. They have the same measure. They are 132 degrees. 5 and 8 are vertical angles. That means that angle 8 is 132 degrees because they are congruent angles. To find the other, I use the fact that this is a straight line here, which means it's a linear pair. So to find the measure of angle 2, I take 180 minus 132. And 180 minus 132 is 48. Now, I could draw a zigzag on the other side. 2 and 3 are vertical angles, making them congruent. 3 and 6 are alternate interior angles. They are congruent. 6 and 7 are vertical angles. They are congruent. So, if angle 2 is 48 degrees, then all of the angles that fall on this zigzag are 48 degrees. So that's why I call it the zigzag method. All the angles that fall in the same zigzag have the same measurement. So I really had to only take 180 minus 32 to find 48, and there, by doing that, I know all of the angle measurements. 1, 4, 5, and 8 are all 132 degrees. 2, 3, 6, and 7 are all 48 degrees. Okay? So if you look at that, alternate interior angles are congruent. Alternate exterior angles are congruent. Same side interior angles. Well, let's take a look at that. Okay? Same side interior angles are 4 and 6 is 130 degrees and 48 degrees. Well, 132 plus 48 adds up to 180. If two angles add up to 180 degrees, that makes them supplementary. So, same side interior angles are supplementary. Same side exterior, if you look at 2 and 8, again, it's 42 and 132. They add up to 180, making them supplementary. And then corresponding angles. Well, let's take a look at the corresponding angles. 1 and 5 are corresponding. They're both 132. 3 and 7 are corresponding. They're both 48. So corresponding angles are congruent. Corresponding angles are congruent. All right, so take a moment, pause your video, get all of that written down. And then pause your video, get all of that written down. And the only thing I want to point out to you as you're writing this down is, notice how the two that start with an S are the two that are supplementary. The two types of angles that start with an S are the ones that are supplementary. The others are congruent. So pause your video, get all of that written down.